attorney Russell Tansey brought suit against God on behalf of Betty Penrose for negligent control of the weather in Phoenix, Arizona, where Miss Penrose lived 9 years ago. Miss Penrose states that her home was struck by lightning by God's hands, which destroyed her home. Mr. Tansey brought the $100,000 suit in Santa Rosa because God now owns property there because the Morning Star Ranch, once owned by a hippie group known as the Limelighters, conveyed their property to God to avoid taxes. The Oakland attorney states he expects an easy win over God. It will be a limited viewing gallery in attendance, so we will be back to you with the judgment. This is Michelle Bowers reporting for KRON. Back to you in the studio.
Idealism is hardening into violence.
Do you read your Bible daily, brother, and listen to the Holy Word, and as a preacher spread the gospel throughout this wicked world?
Board in session? What do you mean? Oi, oi, oi.
Sir?
Yes?
You're ready, sir.
Ah, thank you.
And listen to the Holy Word, as a preacher spread the gospel throughout this wicked world. It will take us all to heaven if we trust Him and obey. It's a word sent from our Savior to His home judgment day.
Well, you look at that. See, you brought your fan club with you today.
Very funny. It wasn't me. Somehow the media found out. I swear, it wasn't me.
Look, Betty, I really need to get back to work.
Oh, I see. It's okay when we're at your house, but when we enter your workplace, it's Mr. Professional Attorney. By all means, then, have it your way.
Thank you. Now, Betty, look. All things considered, you are the plaintiff in this case. We must have some decorum if we're going to win. Agreed?
I didn't want to do this. It's all his fault.
Of course, but first things first, you must keep your expectations and your emotions in check.
Fine. But as soon as I get my money, I'm moving out.
Sure, but let's assume that someone finds out about us and says something. We can't worry about that right now. We have way bigger fish to fry.
It's been 9 years. It's not a secret.
You know, you'd be surprised how many people would actually care about our relationship. The judge, our opponents, the crowd outside. Okay, definitely the media, but listen, you just have to be cool, okay? And remember, this is a court of law.
It's an office of nefarious banality. Why worry, honey? I won't disappoint you. Don't you worry. No one will know about us.
Look, we have a real chance of winning this case. We can't get caught fraternizing or,
Fraternizing? What a hound dog! You mean you can't? You won't. Don't you want me anymore?
Okay, hey, decorum.
It's been 9 years in this relationship. I will do whatever I want.
Hold on. Okay. Stop.
Excuse me?
Oh.
Mr. Tansey?
Yes, how can I help you?
The judge wants to see his chambers.
Okay, I'll be right there. Stop it.
Okay, but don't keep him waiting. He's in a mood.
Are you all right?
Yes, sir, why?
Oi, oi, oi. Please sit down. Are you serious about bringing this case?
Of course. Do you see an issue?
Well, yes. For one, tuck in your shirt. This is a court of law. And two, it's likely that the defendant won't show. And 3, I'm going to look like a fool around here. Mr. Robbins, do you have something to add?
Sir, my client is very busy. We can't expect him to be everywhere at once. My expectation is that he will not be...
He's not going to show because you don't know where he is. Evidence proves that you don't even know his last known address. Have you tried the Digger Farm at Morningstar Ranch yet?
Don't. You know as well as I do that he can be anywhere, at any time. He is hard to pin down to one place at a certain time of day or night. You can't serve him papers because of obscurity and preeminence. You're no match for him.
How dare you? How can you represent someone you don't even know? How are you even able to advise his eminence?
What's all this business? You keep using bunny ears each time you use that word.
Bunny ears, sir?
Yes, bunny ears.
Oh, yeah. Like in the movie Breakfast for Two. You've seen it, right? It's a funny movie, by the way.
He's being ironic, sir. He knows he doesn't have a case against my client because no one has successfully sued him in one.
Well, you gotta have faith, right? I bet you're praying that he shows.
All right. I'm regretting this case already. Counselor, are you sure you want to bring this case forward? The risks are high. The rewards are minimal, at best.
Yes, sir. Now more than ever.
Fine. What can you tell me about Lou Gottlieb and the Limelighter singing group? Apparently, they've conveyed land to God.
Yeah, I can provide some insights, sir. So, we believe in an attempt to ward off legal threats from the government that Gottlieb willed his Morningstar Ranch in Sonoma to God to avoid paying taxes.
It's currently in the 9th District Court to determine if God has property rights in California.
So you took the opportunity to file this case in my court to show that God has land in Sonoma County?
For the time being, he does.
Judge, come on. You've got to toss this case out. It has no merit.
I've heard enough. You're both dismissed. You are both to avoid each other until the bailiff calls you in, or I swear I will revoke both of your licenses. Is that clear?
Do you read your Bible daily, brother, and listen to the holy word as the preacher spread the gospel throughout this wicked world?
All rise for the Honorable Judge Trance.
Oi. Court will come to order. Please be seated. Bailiff, please read the next case on the docket.
Yes, Your Honor. In the Court of Sonoma County, California, case 0047-1969, Betty Penrose versus God, the Jehovah, as in the Almighty.
Why are you using bunny quotes? I know who he is. The question is, where is he?
Representing the plaintiff is Russell Tansey, Esquire, and on behalf of the defendant, James Robbins, Esquire.
Thank you, Bailiff. Mr. Tansey, please proceed with your opening statement.
Thank you.
Good luck, Ben.
For the last 9 years, my client, Betty, Miss Penrose, has been under severe mental duress, suffering from anxiety due to the loss of her home and possessions. She's a God-fearing woman who is now homeless but living with a friend. 9 years ago, God purposely struck down Miss Penrose's home, causing it to catch on fire and burning it to the ground.
Objection. That's hearsay.
Denied. It's only his opening statement. Please continue.
God did this act with full malice and knowledge, total disregard of her property. We are now seeking an injunction against God, who now owns property in Sonoma County, for damages to Miss Penrose's home for careless and negligent control of the weather.
What are you asking for, Counselor?
Well, we're asking for a default judgment and $100,000. $75,000 for general damages and $25,000 for punitive damages. I mean, we suspect that the defendant will fail to appear in court.
Wait, did you say negligent control of the weather, Mr. Tansey?
Yes, God is in control of the weather, is he not?
Well, it's not for me to decide. Okay, that's it. Thank you. Let's have the defendant's opening remarks.
Our case is simple. God is a spiritual being, a loving and forgiving deity. He would not do this act with malice or forethought. He is not careless, nor does he maintain control of the weather. He has clearly stated in 1 Corinthians 14:33, "For God is not a God of disorder, but of peace."
I object.
On what grounds, Counselor?
He's quoting from a book entirely written by humans, not a god. It's fiction at best. it cannot be considered evidence or even prove that God ever stated those words.
It has factual and historical events in it.
Mr. Tansey, it's only his opening statement. Denied. Mr. Robbins, please proceed.
To that end, we feel that this case has no merit and should be dismissed immediately. Therefore, I would like to make a motion to dismiss this complaint. God does not own property in the county and therefore cannot be sued, and the suit lacks legal sufficiency due to lack of causation.
Lack of causation? I have proof I had a home. God burned it down and now I'm homeless. What more proof do you need? Thank you, Jesus.
Miss Penrose, please refrain from any outbursts. I will hold you in contempt. Mr. Robbins, please continue.
I am finished, Your Honor.
Mr. Tansey, please proceed with your rebuttal.
Sir, Miss Penrose believes that God is in control of the operation and maintenance of the universe, including the weather in and around the state of Arizona, where she lived in her home on August 17th, 1960. On that date, God so maintained and controlled the weather that he caused a lightning bolt to strike Miss Penrose's home, catching on fire and burning it to the ground. As a result of this, she's lived in constant fear that God would destroy what's left of her possessions. She's been a good sheep in his flock her entire life. She's looking for compensation for her losses and the suffering that she's had to endure over the last 9 years due to this horrific event.
Mr. Robbins?
If it pleases the court, God is not in charge of the weather. Even our own meteorologists struggle with predictions. The local TV station, KRON, has a weatherman on staff to predict the weather, and he is only accurate 50% of the time. Can we assume that he is in contact with God to help him predict the weather? No, he is not. No one is in charge of the weather, not God and not the fellow at KRON.
I object. The court itself acknowledged the existence of God when it allowed Luke Gottlieb to convey his land to God. Oh, and in fact, in Genesis, doesn't it say that God created the heaven and earth? And Job 37:15, doesn't it say that God created lightning to flash?
Sustained. More bunny quotes? Let's hear him out.
Sir.
Mr. Robbins, please continue.
Sir, force majeure is a common clause in contracts that releases both parties from liability when an event or unavoidable accident, not caused by humans, such as an earthquake or lightning strike, is beyond the control of either party, and therefore they are unable to fulfill a contractual obligation. In this case, God, or an event described by the legal term, act of God. Because Miss Penrose admittedly has a long relationship with God, vis-a-vis a covenant, God cannot be responsible for burning the home of one of his believers.
Come on, Your Honor, this is a joke. What is he saying? God struck my home with lightning and burned my house down. Who has that kind of vengeance against an innocent woman?
Miss Penrose, please refrain from any outbursts, or I will hold you in contempt of court. Now, Mr. Robbins, why did you use bunny quotes when you made the phrase, an act of God?
Because you did, sir. Well, a lightning strike is generally considered an act of God, is it not? Miss Penrose knowingly moved to an area of Phoenix that has a high risk of storms. Therefore, she must assume some of that risk because she knew her home could potentially be hit by lightning in a storm. God cannot be responsible if she knew the risk, yet moved to Phoenix anyway, can he?
Again, that is not up for me to decide. Please continue.
We argue that Miss Penrose cannot sue God because she assumed some risk by moving to an area of Phoenix that is known for storms. She could have moved elsewhere, but she chose Phoenix and for some reason. So even if God was responsible for control of the weather, she has to assume some of the risk. Even the weather fellow from KRON knows that. Therefore, the case is unwarranted and should be dismissed.
Mr. Tansey, your response?
Tell me, is there a person that forges contracts with God? Now look, I'm doing it. And is there someone else that's in control of the weather? No, it's not outsourced. It's not a natural occurrence. The potential for risk is everywhere, is there not? If he doesn't show, then he will be held in contempt.
Sir, let me explain it this way. Jesus taught us about God's covenants. God's covenant says, I will be your God, and you will be my people. All we have to do is say, okay. There is no written contract involved, no work we have to perform. Each of us has a place in his kingdom. This is when we allow God to transform us in his light. Betty Penrose should know that as a God-fearing woman.
If I heard you correctly, there's a covenant.
Correct.
And
He stated that there is no contract, sir.
I heard that too, counselor.
Miss Penrose, as a God-fearing woman, were you aware you had a covenant with God?
He cannot question my client. She's not on the stand and did not swear an oath to the court.
Miss Penrose, do not answer that question. Mr. Robbins, you cannot ask the plaintiff questions until she's under oath.
Sorry, sir.
But I don't understand. I'm beginning to have my doubts.
The plaintiff follows the teachings of the Bible, correct?
I object.
Sustained. Does the plaintiff believe in God or not?
Yes, but that belief doesn't allow for him to burn down her house without responsibility. Even Jim said God's not a God of disorder, but a God of peace. No assumed covenant would state that an act of God permitted him to burn Miss Penrose's house down, even using God's covenant as conductor of the weather.
Why did you use bunny quotes when you said God's covenant?
Well, it's not a real covenant, is it? It's an assumed covenant. Is it assumed that if you're a believer of God, that you have that covenant with God?
But she said she was a believer.
But what if you don't believe in God? Does a covenant exist existentially until you become a believer? Even though Miss Penrose is a believer and has agreed to this covenant, it still doesn't allow for him to burn down her house and possessions, despite the known fact of residing in Phoenix.
Sir, if I may. If she is a believer in God, then yes, of course there's a covenant. The law states that an act of God, and any causality said to be caused by an act of God, when it happens by a direct force of nature, uncontrolled by the power of humans, that it could not have been prevented by any amount of foresight, or even the weather fellow from KRON, which the party might reasonably require him to use.
What is he talking about? Is he speaking in tongues?
Betty. Oh, damn it. Miss Penrose, please sit down. Mr. Tansey, please control your client.
I'm sorry, sir. Will you stop? I've got this.
What say you?
We believe that God is responsible for the maintenance and operation of the universe, including the weather, and not the weather guy from KRON. God cannot be absolved from this responsibility when he negligently controlled the weather on August 17th, 1960, causing lightning to strike Miss Penrose's home and destroying it.
I object.
On what grounds?
God is not responsible. Acts of God do not absolve people from a duty to exercise reasonable care of the home.
Oi, overruled. Please continue, Mr. Tansey.
I asked the court, is the defendant also unjust, wielding his power uncontrollably with such malice, yet bears no responsibility for his actions? Even if Miss Penrose did have insurance, the insurance company may or may not cover the cost to replace her home because it was an act of God. Nonetheless, God's too busy to even appear in your court.
Okay, Mr. Tansey, we're not discussing insurance at this time. Please call your witness.
Yes, Your Honor. I would like to ask Miss Penrose to the stand, please.
Do you swear that the evidence you shall give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
So help me God.
This is great.
Mr. Tansey, it's your witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. Miss Penrose, in your own words, can you please tell us what happened on the night of August 17th?
I was baking oatmeal cookies for my daughter's school bake sale when a thunderstorm came in from the west. I could hear the thunder and see the lightning in the distance. I didn't think much of it, but I went to my little sanctuary to pray for safety. After a few minutes, I heard a loud boom, and the whole house shook. I could smell something smoking, and I thought of my cookies in the oven. So I jumped up and ran to the kitchen, but it wasn't my cookies that were burning. The kitchen was on fire. I didn't have a telephone to call the fire brigade, so I ran to the neighbor's house, and I called them from there. And when I got back to my house, it was overcome with flames. By the time the fire brigade got there, it was too late. My prayer went unanswered, and my house was gone. Here is your proof, all that is left, essentially.
Objection.
Sustained. Betty. Ah, damn it. Miss Penrose, we cannot accept this as evidence.
Is that all, Miss Penrose?
Oh, yes, that's all that's left. I want my house back, but I'm beginning to believe that will never happen.
That is all, sir.
Mr. Robbins, it's your witness for cross-examination.
Miss Penrose, did you have property insurance?
No, I couldn't afford it.
Did you have lightning rods affixed to the roof of your house?
No, I couldn't afford those either because I gave all my extra money to the church. God was my insurance, and he unfortunately let me down. Remember, we had a covenant, which I understood to mean that he would protect me, not burn down my house in exchange for my devotion, despite living in Arizona.
How is this God's responsibility if you don't have insurance or a lightning rod on your roof to protect your home? You knew the risks. The covenant you have with God is the promise of a place in heaven upon your death, not property insurance from hazardous weather. Acquiring insurance is up to you, not God. It isn't God's fault, but your own negligence.
Of all the rotten things to say, I'm a believer in God. According to the Bible, he's in control of the weather. I gave money to the church for protection. Why do I need insurance against an act of God? God's good, isn't he? According to the Bible, he said he would protect me. Why is he doing this to me? Why is he punishing me? What did I do?
God works in mysterious ways.
No kidding.
I object.
On what grounds, counselor?
He doesn't know that God works in mysterious ways. He doesn't even know where his client lives, let alone how he works. Will the court strike down this statement?
Well, apparently he now has a farm in Sonoma County.
Counselor, the court will strike this from the record. Please continue.
Miss Penrose, why did you wait 9 years to bring this case?
I prayed for 9 years, searching and hoping for answers. He gave no responses, so I had no choice but to sue him so I could rebuild my home. Do you understand me? He needs to replace my home. I'm tired of living with selfish people and being homeless. I want my own home.
Perhaps you gave up too soon, Miss Penrose. He may not yet have answered your prayers, but it's also not his responsibility to protect your home, is it?
What? But that is why I'm here. I prayed to him for security every night. I know no one's ever sued God before, but I need help. And if it won't be through prayer, it will be through this court. Right, Mr. Judge?
Mr. Robbins, please continue.
John 15:7 says, if you abide in me and my words abide in you, you shall ask what you will and it shall be done unto you. That's a promise, isn't it? Part of his covenant?
No comment. Mr. Robbins.
No further questions, Your Honor.
If there's no further questions, Miss Penrose, you may please return to your seat.
If the court pleases, I would like to ask the defendant to please take the stand.
Come on, Russell, really?
Well, he's here, isn't he? He's supposed to be here.
He's everywhere, is he not?
Well, that's up for interpretation. Let's put him on the stand for his actions as conductor of the weather in Phoenix. Have you tried Morningstar Farm?
Judge,
I would like to make a motion for a default judgment. It is clear that the defendant will not be appearing in court today since the summons were left unanswered.
we would like to vacate the motion.
On what grounds, Mr. Robbins?
The papers were not properly served to my client. Did you try serving him at the farm?
Well, in fact, we did. And as a consequence of God's wisdom and acknowledgement that He knows all, we were accosted by a bunch of hippies living on His property. It's clear that He knew He got some sort of warning of the lawsuit and avoided the summons.
Oi, oi, oi. Mr. Tansey, this is not necessary in my courtroom. Please continue, Mr. Robbins. Why was your client not served with the papers?
Because his address is unlisted. Therefore, he could not be properly served.
You mean to tell me you could not find your client to serve him the papers? It is your responsibility as your client's attorney to ensure that he is here in court. Denied.
But sir, he's super busy. Even I can't reach him when I need to. Isn't a court supposed to decide real controversies and determine actual cases? It should not address abstract religious questions or issues that might arise in hypothetical situations of faith.
You're treading on thin ice, counselor. Are you telling me how to do my job?
No, sir, but
There is substantial damage to Miss Penrose's property. That makes this case neither hypothetical or existential. The court rules in favor of the plaintiff. The defendant is required to pay Miss Betty Penrose $100,000 for the damage to her property. Court is adjourned.
Thank you, sir.
All rise.
Yes. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Ah. Well, now what?
Here on this earth as we travel along, we always buy insurance on our home. Our cars and our families, they both be insured, but we never take time for insurance on our soul. Oh, how sad it will be on that day when we stand before Jesus and hear Him say, "Depart from me, your soul you have lost." No, you never took time for insurance on your soul. Now listen, my friends, and hear what I say. Don't let Satan lead you astray. The blood of Jesus will cleanse you from sin. Without this insurance, you'll be lost in the end. Oh, how sad it will be on that day when we stand before Jesus and hear Him say, "Depart from me, your soul you have lost." No, you never took time